Hey there, comic book friends and fiends. Rob FatStax here, in front of the Great Wall of Comics on behalf of the Black Sheep Comic Club, and this is Tales from the Shortbox. All right, so what we're doing is we're going through here and we're each taking turns grabbing a short box, going through and talk about some of the books that are inside these box. This is a partial box. I'm an active box I'm working on, filling in some books here and there. So let's just kind of go into to see what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these books out so we can get through them easier, and then we'll put them back in the box as we go. Okay, so I am a fan of science fiction books, and this is a box full of some miscellaneous Silver Age series sci-fi books for the most part. This is a Dell series called Spaceman. Now, it's not a particularly good series, but it has some phenomenal covers. These are, Dell was indicative in the 60s of doing these painted covers, and they are phenomenal. So that's really these guys. I'm picking them up solely for the covers and not so much the story, because the stories are a whole lot of meh. This particular series, anyways. Matter of fact, it's a series that's really bizarre in that it started in the Silver Age, then it went on a hiatus for nearly like 8 years before they resolved it. Like, this is now the last two books. You'll notice, like, this book was a 12 center. It went on hiatus, and this is the first book back from the hiatus in the 70s. This is actually a Bronze Age book, but actually it's the same cover. These last two books in the series are used the same cover as the first two books in the series. So the only way you can actually tell whether or not they're the first or the second, or first two books or the last two books in the series, is based on whether it says 15 cents or 12 cents in the title. Then let's see, this is Space War. This is a Charlton Comics. Charlton and Harvey, well known for putting out a lot of real basic comics, not heavy quality paper or anything else, but they put out a lot cheap, and they were out there. Sci-fi stories here. This is Space War #1, so it's the very first in the series. Sometimes you'd get some people like Ditko wrote on some of these things, which was kind of fun. Here's another Space Wars. They're not exactly always the easiest to know what number these are, especially when you get to some of the books that are yeah, it's like, this just says like February on it. It doesn't really tell us what this number is. You have to like open it up and take a look on the inside to see what the number is. But they're just kind of cool sci-fi books. I can usually pick these up relatively inexpensive at a con. So they're fun, just like when you're looking for something to pick up to fill some runs, get some great covers like this. Look at this. I mean, the text is just bad. It doesn't even fill the bubble. It's just like typewritten. It's like, come on. It's so cheap. But like I said, they're fun. Fun sci-fi stuff. Give me some rocket ships, get me some ray guns, get me some bubble helmets, throw in a girl in distress every once in a while. Here's some rocket ships, and I'm super dope pumped then from there. The fire apes. Here you go. We got the giant insects. It's like straight out of those atomic age sci-fi horror movies, and that's kind of what it is. Kind of continued that. Here we go. Another series. It's called Space Adventures. This is actually a first appearance of this character here, Mercury Man. He actually only makes 2 appearances ever, and then he's gone. But again, you can see this is more of that Charlton, I'm sorry, goodness. The word bubbles drawn, and then they fill in some text, and that text is super small, doesn't even fill up the word bubble. Yeah, just What is this? This is issue 56. I only have a handful of these. They're kind of, up until recently, I've been passively collecting these. 57. I'm thinking about maybe making them a little bit more active now because I've been wrapping up a different run, which we'll go through another time when I get to my mystery and space stuff. Here you go, night classic UFO cover. This is actually the last issue in the volume, volume 2 for Space Adventures. And then later on, we'll get into volume 3. Some of these I have a few of these that are slabbed. But they're not going to be featured in today's video. Look at the incredible imitation people, or mitation people. Gosh, I can't even read. What do we got here? Oops, upside down. So much. There's a lot. I mean, despite the fact that they're basic, I mean, there's a lot going on that cover. And this is like the complete polar opposite of what we get today when we pick up a comic book. You're not going to get a book with this much stuff going on. There's so many word bubbles, 4 different scenes from within the book. Now, part of that's because with some of these, they're anthology series where it's not just one. It's not a story, single story in a book. Some of these have 3 to 4 different stories inside the book. Maybe something goes on from one to the next. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's it. They each only get about like 5 or 6 pages in the book, and that's the end of it. There you go. This is Captain Atom. This character will later on carry over from Charlton Comics. He's going to be a character who will show up in DC down the road as was it just the Atom? So Space Adventures. Space Adventures. And that's going to wrap it up for Space Adventures there. Just like that. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, Strange Adventures. Now, this is the quintessential DC anthology series. This ran for a long time. Now, I do have issue 1. This has up on my wall. This is a series that went on for quite some time. This is issue 96. But just some really cool sci-fi books with some great, the faceless creature. This is a great classic cover. Oops, I'm trying to get these back into the box. Look at that. This is a great cover, and it's when the Earth turned into a comet. Can you imagine you're sitting there and all of a sudden, bam, they're gone. There goes the Earth. What? Of course, we got the Atomic Knights in here. That's a great book in 150. Here's a robot cover. That's awesome. Another robot cover. When it comes to sci-fi, robot covers, they're supreme, and I dig robot covers too. Here's another robot cover here. I invented this robot myself. I swears I done built it myself. Here now we're getting into the 170s on some of these issues. These went just the 13th floor, but there's no 13th floor in this building. I've got to see. What could possibly go wrong? Well, not a man changing into a creature. Strange Adventures, man. And then later on, we would start to, after Man Who Died 100 Times. Then we start to get in, after this, I guess, here we got the Living Scarecrow. Issue 192. And then here we start to get into, these are some reprints. Strange Adventures would start to reprint the stuff from Mystery in Space, because Adam Strange, he would appear in Mystery in Space, and then at some point here around the 200s, they would call it Adam Strange Adventures for a bit, and they would be reprinting these Adam Strange covers. This one, a classic Adam Strange cover, the piece from Runaway World. If you can get this, I wish that this was the original in this quality. I have the original. It's nowhere near that quality of a book, because if I did, it'd be worth a ton. Love the Adam Strange, though. I love it. It's a great one. Boom. And some of these are just straight cover swipes from the Mystery in Space. This one is. So I keep thinking that it's funny because I need this one for my Mystery in Space run. And I keep thinking I have it because I keep thinking of the darn Adam Strange Strange Adventures book instead of the Mystery in Space book. Yeah, but this series would bring you later on. It would bring you like the Lazarus Pit, and we'd be introduced to the League of Assassins. In this book is the first appearance of the League of Assassins. We would get Dead Man would show up in this run here. Some crazy stuff went on. So Strange Adventures. And it would go on. Look at this. We're now into the 70s now. This is what? Issue 234. So this series started in the Golden Age, ran completely through the Silver Age, and here we are in the Bronze Age, still churning this book out. Now, that's not a big deal if you think about like Batman and Superman, who also spanned massive runs, but it's unusual for an anthology series such as this. All right, the last series that's in this box, Magnus Robot Fighter. Now, Gold Key Magnus Robot Fighter, I just kind of dug and started picking this up because I like robot covers. And what you're going to get, robot covers, when it comes to a guy whose whole job or whole existence is fighting robots. He lives in a society, the robots are going crazy. Boom. Some of these are very large Silver Age. So these got some of these have some incredible covers on them. And again, with Gold Key, good luck trying to figure out what number this book is readily, because you have to try to interpret their code. And I never can. So I always have to look it up in an app or something to figure out what book is. This is one of my favorite covers right here. I have this in a slab too. Actually, this is one of those ones where they've actually, as I recall, they reuse this cover. Both, there's a couple of them where they, in the Magnus run, the Gold Key Magnus run, some of the early books in the run are repeated and reprinted, like around, I think they run 13 original issues, and then they reprint some of them, and then they switch back to some original issues. It's really bizarre the way they did it, but hey, they did it. It was a different time. Who cares? The stories weren't always, it wasn't like today where you read a series and you went from one story to the next, to the next, to the next. That's just the way it is today. Back then, these were individual standalone books. And that's going to do it for this episode of Tales from the Short Box. Maybe another Black Sheep member is going to hook up and show you what's in their short box. You tell us what's in your short box. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe, please, if you don't mind. Help us get this channel going. And I'll be back in the future with another Tales from the Short Box. Thanks for watching.